Right, we are competing against that other talk, so whether this goes good or bad, I just want a big cheer at the end, just to kind of give them a big off. I mean, we've got a few empty seats, but we are at the Etihad. I mean, what can we say? Yeah. Put that one on TikTok, Josh. We got a little bit of reaction from that one. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for a fantastic turnout here at the Etihad at Marketing Showcase. My talk today is about tackling Google in a digital age, probably one of the biggest platforms there is. But quickly, some self-promotion. We are winner of Best Digital Marketing Agency. We're an agile digital marketing agency based in Leeds. Our stand's there. We've got amazing donuts for free, so if you get peckish after this, go and help yourself to a nice donut. Who am I? I am Manny Singh. I have over 10 years industry experience. I've been fortunate enough to work with two of the biggest agencies in the world, Cara and Intermarketing, working on international and national and local brands, everything from Adidas to Asda to Liverpool Football Club, which I will make a note of whilst we're here at Etihad. But I'm an advocate of digital marketing education, which is when you look at our website, we're all about blogs, we're all about podcasts, we're all about providing you information so you can go away after this talk and do it yourself. Don't forget to tag and like. Tag us at Bobble Digital. Add me on LinkedIn if you can. Use the hashtags Marketing Showcase and Bobble Digital. So straight into it. The focus of today's seminar, and it's only going to take around about 20 minutes. I'm going to open it up to some questions at the end. Is I want you to walk away knowing the difference between both PPC and SEO, because as businesses, as individuals, whether you're working for an agency, where you're working within a business, within the marketing function, you're having so many different challenges within Google, whether that's SEO and PPC, and it's an ever-changing world. And what I'm going to go through is what's happening, what's changing, and where you should be focusing your attention, whether it's SEO and PPC, and my views of bringing them together at the end. Now, a bit of audience participation, just by a show of hands, because we've probably got people that work for agencies or businesses. Can you explain your business service in 2 to 4 keywords? If I was to ask you right now. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to pick you out. What are those 2 to 4 keywords?
So we do SEO, web design, Facebook ads and copywriting.
So web design, SEO, web design. If I was to get my phone out right now and Google those 4 or 3 keywords, would you be on page 1? Why? 2 to 4 keywords can be very specific. If you were to get your phones out now and type in digital marketing agency leads, we're in the top half of Google. If you type in SEO agency leads, we're in the top 3. If you type in PPC leads, we're position 2. I actually did check this morning, so I know my facts are right. I had to call my SEO manager just to make sure we were there before I embarrassed myself in front of everyone. So whether it's broad or not, and this is why I say 2 to 4 keywords, it's really, really, really important that if you are out there and you're using Google, you need to be using it in the best way. And which is why I say, you know, Google is a mountain. You probably can't read it on that screen. Google is a mountain. It can't be moved, but it can be climbed. And there's 2 ways to do that. You've got the hard route, which is walking, which I don't really do because I'm not much of a walker, but it's more rewarding when you get to the top. So when someone types in digital marketing agency leads, they're more likely to visit our website because I know we're in the top half of Google on page 1. You've got the easy route, which is PPC, where you take the stair lift all the way to the top, which is more, quicker, but it costs a lot more money. And we know that because you have to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on ad spend. CPCs can vary. I mean, we do 0 PPC ad spend because our SEO takes over and does it quite well, and we use brand, and we only use PPC to test specific keywords that we then want to optimize from an SEO perspective for our business. So why is it important? The SEO marketplace in particular, and I got some stats, and all this information is going to be available afterwards on all the stats, so feel free to make notes. In 2010, there were 516 algorithm updates by Google. In 2018, there was 3,234. We don't actually have the latest number, but it's above 5,000 changes in the last couple of years in terms of algorithmic updates from Google. That's like 9 algorithm changes a day. How do you stay on top of that? Because it not only just impacts what you do from an SEO perspective, these algorithm changes have everything to do with Google Ads as well. You've got 5.6 billion searches a day. That's over 2 trillion searches a year. Numbers that would even make Elon Musk, welter with the numbers that he has. So even though there's a lot of searches out there, there's a lot more content. So if you were to type in specific keywords, you would see that the search results are more available than what actually the volume is for those keywords. So you might have something that's 10,000 keyword in terms of volume per month on average, but there could be over 1 million pieces of content when you look at the total search results that come from Google in terms of what's actually available. So there's roughly billions of blogs on the website. So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to tackle Google? On PPC, it's a completely different market. The data shows that actually 146 billion pounds of ad revenue went to Google. In total, they made 181 billion in 2020. So actually, Google Ads is roughly around about, if I do my maths right, around about 70 to 80% of what they make just through the Google Ads platform as a platform. And that data came from HubSpot, where the annual report says that 63% of people have clicked on a Google ad worldwide. So if you're not on Google, there's a reason why you should be. And they're spending 33% of that is on mobile ad spend, and we're going to go into why that's important. Google Ads delivers an 8-to-1 return on investment with a conversion rate on average of 4.4%. So you've got two platforms. You've got a hard one that can get you organic results that doesn't cost you money but costs you time and investment in terms of personal time, and you've got Google Ads there that is delivering a 4% conversion rate, 8-to-1 return on ad spend, but costs you a lot of money in terms of how much you have to invest into that platform when you consider that you're out there with over 146 billion pounds of ad spend per year going into that platform. So there's a reason people are spending that much money on Google, because it works. Why? 92% market share. It's an internet giant. Anyone who says that Google doesn't have a monopoly is lying, and Google has a clear monopoly in the world. 92% of search engine market share, and that's 2022 figures. But if you're not using Google as a business right now, you are missing out. You're missing out on incredibly what the opportunities are. But it's not just using Google, it's actually how you use the platform, which is what we're going to go through. Google has changed to what it was just pre-pandemic. So in terms of what we were using Google for has changed. Before, we used to rely on Google for that final click, lead, sale, revenue figure based on the type of ad that we used to deliver out. We used to rely on social media for the discovery of it all. It's switched. Social media is actually driving revenue. I know iOS 14 is a pain in the backside, but if you can get over that little hurdle, then you're actually all right, and you can actually show the impact it actually has. But actual platforms like Instagram aren't discovery now, they're actual revenue based, and Google is discovery more than anything else, which means it's become a discovery engine. I show an example here from Olay. Same search keywords, two different kind of text ads. Before, dark circles under eyes, the actual headlines and text used to be, eye concern treatment products for around the eye. Now look at how they changed that. What causes under eye circles? Answering questions and getting down to the, what I call the nuts and bolts of understanding your consumer mindset, your buyer behavior in terms of how Google works. Because when you're on Google, whether you do it as SEO or PPC, you're looking for answers to questions you're putting in. You're not there just to quickly buy something very, very quickly, which is what Google used to do before. SEO is changing, and very, 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 very quickly. It's like I said, it's all about providing answers. That on-site behavior platform is what is learning. As businesses, you've got to provide as much information as you can. The problem you have is everyone recently, since December, seen a lot of de-indexing of their pages on Google. Now, this is happening with bigger sites that have thousands of pages. And the reason of that is because all the Google updates and algorithm changes, that if you have a small website with just a few pages, you're okay. But if you're an e-commerce website, you're going to be impacted a lot, because you've got, red trainers, blue trainers, yellow trainers, different sizes, different types of product pages and elements that you can search for as a search query in terms of what people might be searching for and looking for. And the thing is, each of that content needs to be unique. How the hell do you go through tens of thousands of products and make all the content on those pages different and unique? And that's why I say SEO is more rewarding but a lot harder. And what we tend to do then is rely on PPC and just go for the paid click instead of getting that organic reach at the top, and we're like, you know what, we don't have the time, we don't have the effort, there's too many pages to crawl. We actually have a client called Pomanda. They have over 10 million pages, because it's basically company data. Think of Company's House. they're the same but on steroids, essentially, where you can get company valuation stuff. I'm not pushing Pomanda, but I'm just trying to give you an example. But we had that issue with de-indexing with them, where everything was automated in terms of their content. Business name, information, director, company name, it would all pull from a feed, from a data source at the back. And then they went from 2 million index pages down to 1.2. And when we realized it was the Google algorithm update change that happened, that meant that actually they have to go through every single page, but it's impossible for them, because when they update their changes, every 10 million pages updated at the exact same time. So as a business, in terms of internal structure, you have to reconsider how you put your content out on landing pages on your website. And unfortunately, you're at the mercy of Google in terms of what they say and do. You have to conform to what their elements are. And this is what I mean by Google's automation and AI learning. It's changing so quick that sometimes if you looked and did your own search query, and I hope you do it incognito mode and not actually in Google to protect yourselves, is if you search for keywords like, SEO agency leads, for example, the meta titles change automatically. You didn't change them yourself, but it was Google's algorithm and Google's engine that says, actually, Google thinks this should be the meta title for your site. And it caused a lot of problems, because if it wasn't correct, you were giving the wrong information to potential customers that might think, actually, that doesn't look at what I'm searching for on Google and what I want to click on. But remember, every update that Google does is now focused around user experience, which is why last year we had Core Web Vitals. Now, hand up if you know what Core Web Vitals is. Just by show of hands. I'm actually quite shocked by that, I'm going to be quite honest. So this is an update back in July 2021. And the reason I still mention it now, nearly a year on, is because when new people come to us and we do the SEO audit, the first thing we look at is the user experience of the website. We look at 3 key things that Google highlights, which is the largest contentful paint. That's the largest piece of content or image or video that loads on your website. It has to be under 2.5 seconds. First input delay, it's the time measured between the first impact of first piece of information that actually uploads on your website. And then finally, cumulative layout shift, which is how does your website respond when people go from one page to another page, go from desktop view, tablet view to mobile view. Is there any elements that stick on the page that don't change? And that's got to be below 0.1 second. We're talking Formula 1 times here in terms of fractions of a second of what can make a big difference and impact. If you are not conforming to this should be your main focus when you leave today's talk, is focusing on your core web vitals. And just type into Google, website speed test Google, go to Google's page speed index, it's a free tool, and type in your homepage URL and individual pages you think aren't doing well, and it will tell you how well you're doing on all those 3 points. And then it will actually tell you what you need to change. And I guarantee you, the biggest thing people need to change is their images aren't in next-gen formats, and they've got too many JavaScript or render blocking issues on their website. So where should your focus be? Number 1, when it comes to SEO, check your core web vitals. Target long-tail keywords. You see I've highlighted 5 in blue. They're the 5 I kind of want you to focus on first before the other 10. You've got create keyword clusters to rank for more queries than on one page. Use AI tools if you can, depending on the budget you have as individuals and elements to supplement that. Try content optimization softwares if you can. Apply more structured data snippets, but write high quality informative content from an SEO perspective. And keep up with the basics. Just because you're focusing on your keyword and content doesn't mean you should always be checking your core web vitals. You should always be checking the basics of the SEO, because any update, whether you're WordPress or Shopify or Magento-based website, any plugin update could change something very, very quickly. We had that issue recently. We went from a HTML5 to a WordPress, and the Elementor build in WordPress caused so many issues with our images that we're still having some issues now if you go into our website now, which is quite frustrating. Keyword research should be at the forefront of your focus, and focus on a niche. You kind of mentioned it there earlier. It's broad, but focus on the niche areas your businesses offer, which is why I said SEO agency leads, not SEO agency, because then we're competing with too many big name brand agencies with bigger budgets, bigger resources. I focus on the leads area because I know I can get to page 1 in leads. London, I'm not too sure, but we'll see how we go at the end of the year. And keep an eye out for Google updates. But what's the future of PPC? I was actually watching Back to the Future while I was writing this, so it came perfectly in terms of idea. Automation PPC is going to be the biggest thing for 2022. I absolutely hate how Google Ads as a platform is turning into all this automation. Hands up if you kind of agree that you're annoyed by all the automation coming in, but reality check, get on board, because it's not going to change no matter how much we complain and say stuff. It's not going anywhere. It does save you tasks on like more manual tasks within the platform, so use it to save time and focus on more in-depth research and analysis. Smart bidding, again, how many people having issues with smart bidding by show of hands? Absolutely hate it. I want more control over our clients and what we do. But again, to reduce that tracking and optimization, smart bidding is now in place. And the one I hate the most, responsive search ads, are not going anywhere. Your expanded text ads will stop from being usable from June 2022. So if you're not using responsive search ads right now, you need to get onto it straight away. And the only way to stand out is by having a very, very, very good copywriter in-house, because you've got 15 headlines to choose from. You can pin certain elements in certain positions. You've got the pin icon within Google Ads to use that, so make sure you use that, especially if you're doing brand terms or specifically interest, and start focusing on video. And a lot of people say video is expensive. It's not. It's cheap as chips to do video right now. And then 82% of all consumer traffic will be video by 2022. Just consider that. There's some stats that came out from YouTube that 53% of the content consumed on YouTube was informative more than anything else. And again, where should your focus be? I've highlighted the top 5 I want you to focus on when you leave from here. Keyword research, copywriting for your text ads, because you've got 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. Landing page content. It's not just about what you do in the platform, it's what you have on your site that impacts your quality score. And you can do a lot of A/B testing. Focus on bounce rate and conversion rate. The reason I say that is Google Analytics, and you should already be moving to Google Analytics 4 if you haven't already, and I highly suggest you do that, is that look at the bounce rate of those keywords, those URLs, those landing pages, the traffic coming from PPC, and what is the bounce rate. Anything above 90%, it's not really working. You're wasting your money. Try and get that bounce rate down low, and that's all about improving your landing page content. And campaign optimization, you've got to get on board with it. So start automating simple, easy rules that will make your life easier, so you can focus on the things that are going to matter most in terms of driving that conversion funnel all the way through. So finally, which one should you choose? Google, PPC or SEO? It's so difficult when you think 4% conversion rate from Google, 8 to 1 return on investment. SEO, it doesn't really cost you anything, just accept your time, knowledge. You know, which channel do you go to? And our view is you got to work together. The clients that we have where they do PPC and SEO working together get the much better results, the better return on investment, the better traction, the better growth, and are doing better overall. And that's the key thing. And this is the benefits of putting them all together. Keyword conversion data can be fed from PPC into SEO. So use PPC, your Google Ads, where you're spending a lot of money and time on, to form where your SEO focus should be. Consider that if you want to rank for web agency, leads or something, bid for it first and see what the volume is. See if you get traction, then optimize your content page for SEO so that organically you're at the top. We were doing that just after COVID when we did a new website. We spent a lot on PPC, but now my PPC budget is down to under £1,000 a month. And now it's just all SEO. All our traffic and all our leads comes from us being able to be on page 1 for the keywords we want to compete for. Other things, A/B copy testing. You can look at the high key cost keywords like SEO agency leads or whatever service you provide. If it's too expensive, and some of these keywords can be £25 CPC up to £100, and it's absolutely ridiculous, which probably explains why they make so much money, Google. But most businesses can't afford that. They can't afford £2-3 CPC, because that's like 30-40 clicks for every £100 you spend, and a conversion rate of 2%, you're probably only going to get maybe 2-3 leads. Will you convert that into a customer? Probably not. When you get into the nuts and crux of it, it's actually difficult. But test your keyword strategy in PPC first before committing to long-term strategies on SEO. Integrated search strategy that looks for both SEO and PPC is the optimal approach. use them together. Don't you see them as, that's the PPC team, that's the SEO team. Start getting them to talk together. If you're working with an agency, start having your PPC and SEO conversations together, because you can get so much more learnings and findings. Because at the end of the day, whether they're coming organically through your website or through a paid click, they're still going to the same piece of content on your website. And you need to learn what's working and what's not working for your company. I hope that's been useful and you've been able to take some learnings from that. I will now open up to any questions that anyone has in the last 5 minutes that we have of this presentation. Does anyone have any specific questions? If you don't, that means I did a very, very, very good job and we can all get to eating donuts, but I'm assuming that was good.
You're talking about the amount of pages you have.
Yeah.
If you've got a load of landing pages, would that affect it as well?
Yeah, so gentlemen said, depending on the amount of pages you have, if you have a lot of landing pages, does that impact your de-indexing? Yes, because if you've got a lot of landing pages, each going to have a URL, you're going to submit that to your sitemap on Google Search Console, and you're going to ask Google to crawl it. The more pages you have, the more crawl budget is used up by Google to search for that. So it's good to focus on just your best performing landing pages and optimizing the content, but that doesn't mean you keep those landing pages active. Once you know one or two or one of them, based on how you've optimized that landing page, based on the testing you've done, get rid of the other ones that didn't perform, where the bounce rate was high, where the conversion rate was low, and then implement that strategy for the other services that you need to bring up to speed with the rest as your cash cow as a company in terms of where you should really focus on. So it's good to have landing pages because you need to do it as A/B testing, but don't then leave them on for like months on end once you're done with your testing on site. Any other questions? All right, now if we could just get a really loud round of applause so we beat the team on the other side, that would be absolutely fantastic. Not co-host at all, so I think I did a fantastic job. Thank you for coming. I hope you guys have a fantastic time at Marketing Showcase. If you want a free donut and some free merch, we're just right over there.